Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered if playing video games actually helps you learn better than reading a textbook? Or maybe you've thought that telling someone to just have fun while learning is less effective than telling them to learn. Well, today we're diving into a study that put these very questions to the test with Roman history. This is the title of our research today. It's all about knowledge, interest, and emotions in video game and text-based learning environments. Essentially, our scientists wanted to know if the way we present information, whether through a flashy video game or a straightforward text application, changes how much we learn, how interested we get, and even how we feel about the subject. So here is the setup. We all know that video games can be super engaging, right? They're often seen as a great way to spice up learning, especially for subjects that can seem a bit dry, like history. But the big question is, do they really lead to better learning outcomes than just reading or studying from a book? Some studies say yes, some say no, and not many really look at how just telling people to focus on learning or focus on fun might change things. That is where this study comes in. The researchers wanted to figure out, does playing a video game make you learn history better than reading about it? And does telling students to learn versus have fun make a difference in how much they pick up and how interested they are? They used a game called Limes, which is all about Roman history, and a text version that covered the exact same stuff. So how did they test this? They gathered 143 university students and split them into 4 groups. One group played the Limes video game and was told to focus on learning. Another group played the same game but was told to just have fun. The third group read the interactive text version and was told to focus on learning. And the final group read the text version but was told to just have fun. Both the game and the text version had the same main story optional side missions and extra historical info called codex entries. Now, for the juicy results, what did they find? Drumroll please. Participants who played the video game reported feeling more enjoyment and initially more interested. That's the triggered situational interest part, meaning the game was good at grabbing their attention right away. And this is a big but knowledge scores were actually higher in the text condition. That's right, reading the text app led to better recall of historical fact. What about the instructions telling them to learn versus have fun? Interestingly, neither the learning versus fun instruction nor the combination of format and instruction made a significant difference to how much people learned or how interested they were overall. It seems just telling people what to do wasn't enough to change the game. So if the game didn't boost learning, what did? They looked at how people interacted with the extra information, the codex entries. And here's a key finding: students using the text app looked at the codex entries way more than those playing the game. And guess what? The more time people spent reading these codex entries, the better they did on the knowledge test. This was true for both the game and the text groups. So let's break down what this means. The game was great at sparking that initial excitement and making people feel good about the experience. It definitely boosted enjoyment. But when it came to actually remembering facts, the more linear and perhaps less distracting text format seemed to be more effective. One big reason for this difference seems to be how people engage with the extra learning material. In the game, even though the codex entries were available and had the same information, people spent less time with them. The researchers think the exciting gameplay and navigation in the game might have pulled attention away from these optional learning bits. The text app, on the other hand, was more straightforward. It was easier for people to access and engage with the codex entries. And that deeper engagement directly translated into better knowledge. So while the game made people feel good and sparked initial interest, it didn't necessarily translate into deeper learning in this case. The text format, although perhaps less initially exciting, provided a clearer path for focused learning on the factual content. Now, about those instructions. It's interesting that telling students to learn versus have fun didn't seem to make much of a difference. The researchers suggest that maybe these instructions weren't strong or repeated enough throughout the task. Or perhaps the university students were already motivated to learn history, so the framing didn't significantly alter their approach. It's a good reminder that sometimes simple instructions aren't enough to steer deep learning. And for the interaction effect, where they thought the game might need more learning-focused guidance than the text, that didn't pan out either. The structural similarity between the game and the text app might have leveled the playing field, meaning both formats might have engaged learners in similar self-directed ways regardless of the explicit instruction. The really important takeaway here is about how we best absorb information. The study strongly suggests that for factual learning, the way supplementary information is integrated is crucial. For the text app, making those codex entries easy to access and see clearly worked wonders for knowledge acquisition. For the game format, the optional nature of these entries meant they were often overlooked in favor of gameplay. So what does this mean for us? If you are creating learning materials, whether it is a game or a text adventure, don't just tack on extra information as an afterthought. Integrate it deeply. For games, this could mean making players consult those codex entries to solve puzzles or progress in the story. For text, it means keeping those supplemental bits highly visible and easy to grab. The key is to make the learning content relevant and necessary for engagement. Of course, no study is perfect. The researchers point out that their learn versus fun instructions might have been too subtle and maybe needed to be repeated or more integrated into the activity itself for them to have a real impact. Also, this study only looked at immediate learning. They didn't check how much information people retained a week or a month later, which would be really interesting. And since it was university students, their findings might not apply to younger learners who have different study habits. So to sum it all up, video games can be awesome for getting us excited and making us feel good about learning. They spark that initial interest. But for solid factual knowledge acquisition, well-designed text-based or interactive text formats can sometimes be more effective, especially when they clearly integrate supplementary learning materials. The real secret sauce isn't just the format itself, but how well the learning content is woven into the experience. It is about making sure that extra information is not just available, but also engaging and essential for making sense of the topic. What are your thoughts on this? Have you ever played a game that taught you a lot without you even realizing it? Or has a textbook ever surprised you with how engaging it could be? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more insights into the fascinating world of psychology and learning. We'll see you next time.